Whatever the occasion, effortless elegance is right this way. Because Hilton brings you new ways to stay courtesy of the Nomad London. And it doesn't stop at award-winning dining in a space draped in velvet and illuminated by vintage chandeliers. No, this day goes beyond with unparalleled personalized service and attentive hospitality. Oh, and did we mention the Nomad London can be booked using your Hilton Honors points at Hilton.com? Hilton, for the stay.
How many discounts does USAA Auto Insurance offer? Too many to say here. Multi-vehicle discount, safe driver discount, new vehicle discount, storage discount, legacy.
How many discounts will you stack up? Visit USAA.com/auto discounts. Restrictions apply.
Finding a new job is stressful. But with Indeed, it doesn't have to be. Just fill out your Indeed profile with your skills, experience, and desired salary. The more you fill out, the better your matches will be. And hearing from hiring managers will be 2 times more likely. Relax. That's your Indeed profile sending opportunities your way. Indeed, the world can work better.
Welcome to another episode of Horror Movie Night. This week we're talking about 2005's Constantine, starring Keanu Reeves and a young Shia LaBeouf. And this one was picked by Scott. Scott, tell us about this 20-year-old relic.
I loved the comics. I have the ability to disassociate the movie from the comics because I'm not just an absolute loser, because the people that hated Constantine and hate Constantine still can't enjoy cinema.
They gotta let it go.
This is not a good movie. I am going to be completely clear, but I've probably seen this at least 15 times actively. This is a comfort film for me. I have fallen asleep to it so many times. It's just great. I'm so sad that it's not currently streaming and that, we had a hard time finding a copy that was solid. But like, I love Keanu Reeves, right? Like, it's just, that's the number one thing. He's a terrible John Constantine because the original character is supposed to be it's from Hellblazer is the original is the name of the original character's John Constantine Hellblazer, and he is supposed to be, hold on, I'm going to his,
they wouldn't call it Hellblazer?
He's from Liverpool. Liverpool. Okay. Yeah. Now also the thing is that the comic was called John Constantine Hellblazer. Oh, okay. I don't.
It also, according to Wikipedia, they didn't want to use Hellblazer because they were afraid people would confuse it with Hellraiser.
Yeah, well, I mean that doesn't that make sense to you all, right?
Yeah.
Like, and interestingly, John Constantine's first appearance was a Swamp Thing story.
Makes sense for Scott.
And that was actually June of 1985. So it's created by Alan Moore along with Stephen Bissette, who is my all-time favorite comic book artist, and my wife. No big deal, but she's like pals with him now, and she's gotten me like special pencil art. I mean, it's crazy what the things that she's done. But yeah, so he was originally debuted in a Swamp Thing comic book. So it's 1985. So that predates the Hellraiser movie, right? Like
another anniversary, 1985. Yeah. Let's celebrate John Constantine as a whole.
Oh, you know what? I'm gonna toast him with the blood of the lamb.
Hey, very nice. Cheers.
It's red wine for people that don't understand. Hellraiser was 1987, by the way, so it had a good 2 years. Although, I wonder. Well, Hellbound Heart was what, 84 or something like that. Mm-hmm. I'm looking it up. Well, Kyle tells us what he's drinking.
I'm having a moment where I'm losing my mind right before Kyle talks, because I'm like I'm on the Wikipedia for John Constantine, and I'm like, I've seen this movie exactly once before we watched it for this. But I'm like, I've seen him in things. He was in like TV shows or movies that I watched. I have been scrolling through every ounce of this, and I have not watched anything except for maybe Sandman when that came out on Netflix. Like,
yeah,
maybe
he was in there. Yeah, but he also was not like a really strong. I think that people would argue that. Is it just because there's been
rumors for more? Like, maybe it's just because I constantly see rumors of like, we're doing Constantine again, and then like it doesn't happen.
Oh my God, the like, whole back and forth with like, and Keanu was a huge proponent of this movie and of the sequel, which. I love this.
There's an actual sequel?
No,
or that
not
was
yet.
Proposed? Okay,
but this is the note that I took straight from Wikipedia about the sequel, which has been in development hell. So this movie is 20 years old. It has been in development hell for at least a decade. So this is the funniest part about it. In February of 2025, so literally a couple months ago, Keanu Reeves revealed in an interview that he and Lawrence, the director, recently developed a story and presented it to DC Studios, receiving approval to proceed with writing a script after having attempted to create a follow-up for over a decade. Reeves also confirmed that the sequel would be set in the same world as the 2005 film, with John Constantine facing increased challenges. Now, there's additional information about that, which is that since James Gunn is now in control of the DCU, because the DCEU, I believe, is what the Snyderverse was called, right? Or whatever. Yeah. Or like, all the stuff that was the previous, that was like Cavill, Gal Gadot, like Black Adam, Aquaman, like Momoa, all that shit. So James Gunn is in control of everything. They're wiping the slate clean. I guess they're going to have a main DCU, like cinematic universe, and then they're going to do Elseworlds, which is what they're planning, what James Gunn is planning to put Constantine 2 into, which would mean that it would be kind of like a multiverse kind of thing.
Yeah.
Well, but I find that cool.
This feels like it's so this feels so much like James Gunn's shit. You know what I mean? Like,
it's not quite as zany as what he likes, but this.
But it's dark. Like, he likes horror stuff, and this is like in that darker realm. And is it Matt Reeves that's going to be doing the sequel? I think it says. Is that what I keep seeing the name Reeves?
No, Reeves. That's Keanu. And.
My God, my brain is stupid.
That's all right. It's all right. It's
and then Keanu's
be...
John Wickness, I think, adds to Constantine coming back now, and Keanu even being able to hold that even more. I don't know, serious or just darker and just like more actiony. I feel like you have the ability to bring that full circle and have more action in a darker world.
Both of them are at their peak right now, because the director Francis Lawrence,
Lawrence, thank you.
Shortly after this movie, did 4 of the Hunger Game movies. He's directing the newest one that comes out this year.
Is there a prequel?
The prequel that's coming out, and he's also, I'm kind of excited about this. He's the director of the Stephen King adaptation for The Long Walk that's supposed to come out this year.
Ooh, he's working.
That's cool.
Yeah,
he's working a lot.
Apparently got a decent.
Speaking of working, Workers' Comp is the beer that I brought.
We go.
Because
finally
John Constantine, man, I don't know how he does it. This is a terrible job. I can't imagine the pain that he goes through. I picked Workers' Comp.
I love it. That's fantastic. And in the
From Two Roads,
the comics. The comic John Constantine is very unlikable. And you guys know me. I don't like an unlikable character, but he has enough charm and panache that you like. He also has a lot of self-hatred, and so you get that, like, you get the ethos in the comic because the like the thought bubbles and the, you know, there is a better narrative structure to that than in a movie like this where, you know, like Keanu is doing disgruntled Neo, and that's fine because he was really at his Matrix height when this movie came out, right? And so now if we're getting a Constantine 2 and he's doing kind of a John Wick Constantine, I'm here for it. I mean, you know, I think that Keanu can kind of do whatever he wants and I won't have a problem with it because he is a relatively unproblematic person as far as I understand. Yeah. So, you know, I'm hyped for that, but also let's get into the. I'm going to try my best to not compare the movie to the comics too much. All right. Mm-hmm. But we do
only where it counts.
Yeah, exactly. Just where it counts. So, Constantine 2005. It opens with a scavenger in Mexico finding the Spear of Destiny. It's also called the Spear of Longinus, I believe. It was the spear that pierced Jesus' side at the crucifixion, and he is now possessed by it and can just walk straight to LA. He's also invincible, as shown by him getting destroyed by a car and actually totaling the car and just being fine, just walking it off. So then we are introduced to the titular character, John Constantine. He's a chain-smoking, hard-boiled exorcist, and he is shown extracting a demon soldier from a young girl via a mirror, which does not smush Shia LaBeouf's character, sadly, who is waiting in the cab down below. Would have been a much better movie without Shia LaBeouf in there. But, you know, he was annoying then. He's insufferable now.
Oh, I was going to say, this is peak Shia. This is before we knew how much of an annoying person
I felt him before he this is before he put a bag on his head.
Exactly. It all went downhill with that bag. No, but this is like... I'm trying to see where
I like that exorcism scene quite a bit.
Oh,
yeah, I was actually.
It's a fun start.
I am a sucker for an interesting take on exorcisms or demons and the way that they come into the world, and I don't. I mean, it was
actiony still. Yeah, it felt like very actiony still, which I appreciate.
And also the comic books are very, very actiony. Yeah. There's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of punching and kicking for a guy who doesn't have superpowers.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
so go ahead, man.
It does have those moments though where, like, we've talked about this before, where we pick these movies where they're like horror adjacent. Sure. This I do feel like is very horror adjacent in the sense of, like, we do have these exorcism scenes, but, like, don't be fooled. At the core, if there's a certain style to specific genres, this does not stray too far from the style that you look for in a superhero action movie. Like, it is, it is that first and foremost, with, like, the horror's peppered in there.
Well, you got to remember, it's a comic book character.
Like, it works.
Kyle's background is a great scare. The bug monster.
Loved this vermin man. Yeah. I wanted more.
Well, that actually is from the comic. One of my favorite. I think is a single issue. I think it was just one issue. I have a hard time remembering because I read a lot of them as graphic novels, but it's like a fly plague. You see it again later on when Mick, what's his name? The guy that runs the bowling alley where they kind of hang out.
I forgot his name. So bad with names.
Whatever it is. Anyway, you do kind of see, but that's also
Mr. Pins.
That's also not really the same. It's not really the same demon. It's Gavin Rosdale fucking with the world. But anyway, back to John Constantine. We'll get there. He is chain smoking his way to the grave. He has lung cancer, and he meets up, and he's afraid of dying because you find out later, he tried to commit suicide when he was a teenager, and his supernatural powers manifested, and he could see demons and angels and all sorts of ghastly things in the world. He thought that he was going crazy. His parents thought he was going crazy, so he tried to commit suicide. So since he killed a person, and that is a mortal sin himself, he is damned to hell, but he's angry with God and the angel Gabriel, played wonderfully by Tilda Swinton. He is angry because he's like, how many demons have I sent to hell? You know, and she's like, or Gabriel, they are like, it doesn't matter, because no matter how many lives you saved, there's still a life that you took. You're fucked. And it's like my favorite Tilda Swinton line of any movie I've ever seen her in. So he runs into Angela, played by Rachel Weisz. She's an LAPD detective who is investigating the apparent suicide of her twin sister, Isabel, who was a very powerful psychic. She sees her sister jump off of a building after whispering Constantine's last name. So she seeks him out and says, I know my sister, who is a devout Catholic, would not have killed herself. He promptly visits hell, sees her soul in hell, and they're like, something is going on. Why is this happening? We get this awesome scene where John's friend, Father Hennessy, goes to the morgue to check on Isabel's body, sees a symbol carved into her hand, and promptly goes insane, drowns himself in liquor at an alcohol store, at a corner store or whatever, and then stabs his hand with the sign of Mammon, the son of Lucifer. Obeeman is the name of the guy. He's the one that has the bowling alley. So Angela, Constantine, and Shia LaBeouf's character go there, get a little bit of exposition. They've also been kind of roaming around the dark underbelly of LA. They go to see Papa Midnight at his club. That is a very important character from the comic books.
Likes Papa Midnight.
Yeah. He's very, actually, of all the characters in this movie, I think that he is the closest approximation of the actual Papa Midnight character. But I'm also, it's been at least a decade since I've read any Hellblazer. So anyway, they uncover this plot where Gabriel and Mammon are trying to, Mammon is trying to use Angela's body to be born into the world and then create hell on earth. In the ensuing chaos and very Matrix-y gun battle where he's just shooting rounds of rock salt at all these demonically possessed people, Shia LaBeouf gets absolutely tanked by an unseen force, and then you get to see arguably the best part of the movie, where Constantine shows his arm tattoos. They create a sigil that shows that it's actually been Gabriel all along. Gabriel kind of does the thing where they give all the exposition, explaining the bad guy plan before they basically blow Constantine into the other room and are about to stab Angela's tummy, where Mammon is trying to come through into the world. It's hilariously bad CGI, but also I love it. Like I said, I love this movie.
Mm-hmm. This movie, yeah.
And then we get the true cherry on top for me is that Constantine commits suicide again by slitting his wrists in the other room. Lucifer comes down from the ceiling, but his feet are like covered in tar. It's fucking Peter Stormare. So stoked to see him after his amazing work in Bruiser 2000. And I think of all the characters in this, Lucifer's character design is the best. And Peter Stormare is just like oozing charisma in his scene. He gets pissed. He's paused his time and he's like, no, you're not going to like, he's like, bad son, you're coming back down to hell. And then he burns off Gabriel's wings. They're mortal. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot the part that John is actually going to be, since he does a selfless act by committing, or by asking Lucifer to save Angela instead of himself, he gets to go to heaven. And then Lucifer's like, oh, no, you don't. I'm going to heal your lung cancer, which is actually a very, very huge nod to the comic books where Constantine knows he's dying. He, I think it's called Dangerous Habits, if I remember the storyline. But he makes deals with 3 different kings of hell, and they all come to collect when he's dying of lung cancer. And then he's like, you guys can duke it out. And so they cure his cancer. I think it's actually Beelzebub cures his cancer and is like, I'm coming for you when you eventually die because you are going to fuck up. This is kind of like the whitewashed, or not whitewashed, but like the softened, simplified version of that story. But still a great nod to the comic. And then, like, you know, Gabriel's like, shoot me, kill me. He's like, no, and he just punches her in the face and is like, you know, everybody wins. But
there's a beautiful thing about using sort of like angels and demons and entities of that nature to explain or not explain a thing, because as humans, our understanding or misunderstanding of a god being means that we don't understand the things that happen in our lives because they're controlled in some sense by something other, right? So it's like the fact that then you personify these characters, you can just do whatever you want with angels and demons. Like, and they don't need to have an explanation. Yes, there's good and evil and like all this stuff, but you can do an ass backwards, like, you know what? No, I'm gonna cure your cancer so that you can't do this and you can't do that. And it's like you just have the rug pulled out from under you no matter what. It's really quite fun because you also can just, but if you choose to, just believe that is what is happening. And well, Constantine has proof, but in our world, we get to sort of just believe that that's what's happening.
Yeah, and that's Constantine. I tried my best to steamroll through a very convoluted plot, in my opinion.
I mean, the 2-hour runtime is very 2005 for sure.
It's a great movie to fall asleep to, listeners. Yeah. If you need something.
It was. I'm not one for the. I very, very rarely watch anything not at the normal speed, and this was one where I think I was like 10 minutes in.
But this wasn't a first watch for either of you, right?
This was a second watch and a first watch for Kyle.
Oh, wow, Kyle.
Yeah,
for someone who loves Stigmata so much.
I know. Don't you steal his double? Don't you steal his double features?
Sorry.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
The new McCrispy Strip is here. Dip approved by ketchup, tangy barbecue, honey mustard, Sprite, McFlurry, Big Mac sauce, double dipped in buffalo and ranch, more ranch, and creamy chili McCrispy Strip Dip. Now at McDonald's. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba.
My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Out here, there's no one way of doing things. No unwritten rules, and no shortage of adventure. Because out here, the only requirement is having fun. Bank of America invites kids 6 to 18 to golf with us. For a limited time, sign them up for a free 1-year membership, giving them access to discounted tee times at thousands of courses. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/golf with us. What would you like the power to do? Bank of America. Restrictions apply. See BofA.com/golf with us for complete details. Copyright 2025 Bank of America Corporation.
Looking for a new seasonal anime? Want to know what new anime music is out there? Looking to add a new waifu or husbando to the list? Or are you just looking for a modern or classic anime to add to your play in the watch list? My name is Nick and I run the Waifus and Weeaboos podcast. And you can check me out on Geekscape.net.
We were talking about this actually, Scott, before you got here to record, because we did this episode and He Knows You're Alone last week in the same sitting. And we were like, man, we watched 2 movies that both have some real pacing issues on their hands.
I also just wanted to point out that we've watched a lot this year, particularly a lot of directorial debuts. This is a directorial debut.
Oh, interesting.
I believe He Knows You're Alone was a directorial debut.
Well, that one at least shows.
Yeah.
That one just...
They did this movie in a little bit longer than 4 months.
Ghoulies was.
Yep.
Fright Night was. Reanimator
Holy
was.
shit.
It's kind of an interesting just another
Let's
aside.
do a
to
retrospective at the end of the year for a Patreon piece of content of like good, bad, indifferent about directorial debuts we discussed in 2025.
Oh, that would be fun. I would also like to maybe like be like if this was their directorial debut, but like we like this other movie from them.
Sure, yeah. No, that's I love that.
That would be a fun one. Hold on, I'm gonna write that down.
Yeah, that's definitely a
we want to talk about
Kyle-centric
about these directorial debuts.
I'm really curious because whenever you tell me that, like when you tell me that like Ghoulies is his directorial debut, I'm like, okay, sure. When you tell me that Constantine is a directorial debut, I'm like, well, what did this person do prior?
Oh, to get the money, because this was I didn't even look at how much money this cost.
So this was, well, I can tell you that answer very quickly.
The budget was $70 to $100 million, and the box office was $231 million.
Yeah, so this is, they're not just throwing this to someone who's never made a film. So for this person, it was music videos and commercials, which is how you usually get your foot in the door. I'm looking right now because I'm curious, like, what music videos around this time would we have known him for? So it looks like one of his early ones in the 90s is where he started. Some noteworthy videos that he did include Wyclef Jean's Gone Till November, Fire Escape for Fastball, Don't Want to Miss a Thing for Aerosmith is probably his first big home run.
Wow.
He did Back to One for a lot of like pop stuff. Waiting for Tonight for Jennifer Lopez. I'm Like a Bird for Natalie Furtado.
Rips.
Green Day's Warning. A lot of Backstreet Boys, a lot of pop music. Slave for You for Britney Spears would have been before this. So he definitely Skater Boy, Avril Lavigne.
These are big. They're basically like, you know what? You know your way around a camera, and you know how to make teenagers watch shit. Here's $100 million.
Yeah, literally.
And Keanu Reeves.
Yeah. The three videos before he went into production for this movie was Incubus, Warning, and then 2 Justin Timberlake videos for Cry Me a River.
Oh, yeah. Incubus.
The song Warning.
Oh, I thought you said Green Day Warning.
He did Green Day Warning and Incubus Warning.
He likes songs named Warning. Okay.
And that's your second warning, Scott.
Hell yeah, that's good.
I mean, yeah, dude was clearly on top of the world doing some pretty big music videos. And then the list of his commercial clients, he did commercials for Coca-Cola, Calvin Klein, Pepsi, Kids Foot Locker, McDonald's, Gap, Bud Light.
I mean, what a career. I mean, that's the dream, right? It's just
that's what you hope to do.
Cranking shit out until you get into, I Am Legend is his movie after Constantine. So it's like, you know what I mean?
And then he won a Grammy.
And then Hunger Games.
Flop.
He won a Grammy. He won a Grammy for Best Music Video Short Form because he did Lady Gaga's Bad Romance music video.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
Let's see. Is he close to an EGOT? Or is he just at a G? He's just got a G right now.
The dude's only 54. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty...
He was 34 when he made this movie? What the shit?
Yeah, he was younger than most of us on this call when he made this. Scott, if you were having friends over to watch this, what were you going to double feature it with?
I need some hardcore religious horror. I am going to go with my favorite of recent years, First Omen.
All right.
Oh,
2024.
How about you?
The First Omen 2024. Not The Omen, the first one. Just for the listeners, if they're worried.
Yeah, let's let's clarify.
I like that.
Kyle, how about you? Is it
like
Stigmata since it's right there behind you?
No. I'm going to go Rachel Weisz, So Nice, We'll Choose It Twice, The Mummy.
Yes. Another bisexual awakening for a lot of people.
God bless.
I'm gonna almost like meet you guys somewhat down the middle in a different realm. I'm gonna go with another superhero horror film, arguably the first superhero horror film, and I think a little bit better than this movie, although I haven't watched it in a long time. I'm gonna go with the first Blade movie.
Yeah, that was my second pick too,
dude.
Yeah.
It's still good.
Did we ever talk about
We've
Blade?
never
or
done
not?
Blade nor Blade 2, so we need to do at least those two. We can skip
We've done
Blade
Blades.
Trinity. We've done Blades.
We have done
the forgotten
Blades.
sequel Blades.
Yeah. You know, it's so funny that Matt didn't pick Dogma because I had money on money.
Yeah.
I
had
even stacks on you doing
Didn't
Dogma.
even think about it. I was like 20 minutes into
You'd
this,
have
and I
so
was
much
like,
fun. You'd have so much fun.
I know it would
doing
be a good
Dogma.
time, but I was like double feature Blade. All right, guys. Hey, you
there's that
having
club
fun?
scene particularly.
You having fun here with us? You can have even more fun with us. Patreon.com/HMN podcast. Go to patreon.com. Patreon pod. Oh my God. Go to hmnpodcast.com to buy some merch. Go to hmnpodcast.dasherly.com to buy some even more exclusive merchandise like hats and coffee mugs and such. Go to HMN Podcast on pretty much any social media app that you can think of. If you type it in, you'll either
check
find us.
the TikTok, because Kyle has been putting in so much work to find the most embarrassing shit that we say on the show.
Yeah, he's doing a great job. He's really killing it.
I'm working on it.
And lastly, just hit us up at the email, hmnpodcast@gmail.com. Become part of the newsletter or send us your listener-submitted recommendations for the month of September. Now, again, I stressed this last week. I'm going to try to do this a little bit more calmly. We're just asking for anniversary films. So it needs to be a movie that was produced and released with a 5 or a 0 at the back. Released. I should stress that. Released with a 0 and a 5 at the back of that year. So let us know what movies we haven't done yet that you think we should do, and we will put it into the conversation and make a choice. And now, Scott, what have you been checking out? What have you been enjoying? What have you been hating? What have you been doing? Whatever.
I got no hate this week. I got nothing but love because I was just randomly scrolling on Max, which I have the hardest time not calling it HBO Max, but it is Max. And what do I see? Lo and behold, Pushing Daisies seasons 1 and 2 are finally back on streaming.
Whoa!
Dude. Megan and I got started last night on the season on season 1. We only watched one episode, but she was just like exclaiming like, this is so fucking good still, and she was like, what a first episode for a series. And I'm like, it's untouchably good. And
it's Brian Fuller. I literally think that he has made perfect pilot episodes for every fucking TV show that he did.
The Monsters was the best pilot that never got made. Kyle, you should add that to the pilots Patreon.
But it's like, that's great. Dead Like Me, incredible pilot. Wonder Falls, amazing pilot. I never watched Heroes, but word on the street is that boy that started strong. Like, even Hannibal hooks you right in on that first episode where you're just like, oh, we're gonna see some shit while we watch.
I've been putting off Hannibal for so long that I feel like I just need to sink my teeth in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But yes, and also
grab it. Just get a bite. Just a little bite.
A little bite. Oh, but I want to just tell one little anecdote about Pushing Daisies, and it's the fact that right after Megan and I started dating in 2009, she introduced me to the show, and I cannot watch it. I mean, and she was also, like she had a very similar hairdo to Anna Friel, and Anna Friel has light eyes, dark hair, and I wanted to be Ned so bad, and the longing and the love and the spooky but cute and like the twee outfits that like literally every dress Anna Friel wore, Megan was always like, oh God, I wish I could wear that. I wish I could find it, and like, it just takes me back to the very beginning of our relationship. And so it's like, I just have so much, I'm just having the absolute best time watching it again. And she is too. So happy wife, happy life, happy me.
Ooh, yay.
That's nice.
You know, Kyle, you inspired me a little bit last week. You were talking about a band that you were really vibing on, and for Barb's birthday, which was pretty recently, I took her to see one of her favorite musicians perform live. And it was awesome because they were like one of the openers at the show, so we got to watch them and leave before the rest of the show was over. Great. And it's an artist that she literally discovered from one of those Spotify daily mixes that they make, where it's just like, hey, here's like 2 hours of music you might like. This artist just was on one of those mixes and became one of her favorite artists. It's a musician named Andreas. I don't know how to describe it, but Barb was explaining this piece of the puzzle, and it kind of all clicked, which was that he was raised in like a devout Christian home and was trained in jazz music his entire life, and was going to go to a like prestigious Christian college to learn how to play violin, and then he discovered hardcore music and just like left all of it and does like this. It's like a fusion of like pop music, jazz, hip hop.
Wait, what's the name?
Andreas is his name. The two albums that I really have liked from him is Once Upon a Time in Bakersfield and Sonny Torres and the Multiverse of Sadness. And he's so geeky. We got to talk to him for a little bit, and he was freaking out about my Geekscape t-shirt that had it was coffee, tacos, and comics. And he's like, those are the three greatest things in the world.
Love that.
Like, we got into a conversation about that. But like the way that his music will just be like really intricate, like jazzy guitar licks, and then we'll just go into like a hardcore breakdown out of nowhere, and then all of a sudden he's got like this Lin-Manuel Miranda type rap flow that shows up. Like, he just fuses all these sounds in such a unique way, and he's very obscure still. So highly recommend that. And then also just gonna admit that I'm really liking a romance novel that I'm reading right now called Love in the Time of Serial Killers by Alicia Thompson, about a girl who's writing.
I feel like you can get an okay. You get a pass on that because it's horror adjacent. It's all right.
It's it's your classic romance of girl moves to small town, falls in love with neighbor, and a lot of steamy sex scenes. But it has a fun like. The meet cute is one of my favorite meet cutes in a while, because the setup is that she's moving into her father's house after he's passed away, and she has to like get things organized to sell the house. But she's also doing her master's in the history of true crime, and their whole meet cute is that she's pretty sure her next door neighbor is a serial killer for the first 50 pages. So it's just like the fun play of that before she's just like, oh no, I've literally been reading true crime for the last 3 years for this dissertation, and I'm extra sensitive about this stuff. Like, it's just very funny, lots of cool like reference points. For clearly the author Alicia Thompson is. Every once in a while you read a book or you take in a piece of art and you understand every single reference to the point that you're like, I would probably be friends with this person. That's what my takeaway was reading this one, was like, I think that this person and I would probably not argue over what movie to put on or what like music to listen to, because the references are just all there. So highly recommend the music of Andreas and the books of Alicia Thompson. And Kyle, take us home.
Yeah, so I'm also going to go off a little bit more music. Clipping put out an album called Dead Channel Sky.
Clipping, what's it called?
And it's really fun. The band's called Clipping, and the album's called Dead Channel Sky. And Clipping, Clipping's been around for a little while now. And I mean, I cannot recommend them enough for a lot of reasons, but just because we're on this show and this is what we talk about, like, let horror be your entry point to Clipping. For Dead Channel Sky specifically, it is this cyberpunk by way of Clive Barker, hip hop and experimental approach to this concept album. And I don't even know if it's a concept album as much as it is concepts that run together about how frightening the world can be. It's one of those things where the lyrics and the songwriting, along with the atmosphere and the aesthetic of the music itself, actually sinks into you. It is like reading a short story in a 3-minute song. It truly is. Like, everything flows together in such a beautiful way. Dominator is an incredible track. I also love Welcome Home Warrior, and I also love Run It. And they all also have their own little bit of unique personality, which does make it feel like almost like a short story anthology, all in the same mindset, and it has the same aesthetic. It's really a killer album. So that's and I know I recommended a couple tracks.
It should
to you,
be
Matt.
noted, because I don't know how deep into hip hop most of our listeners go, but for those of you who don't know Clipping's been a band for almost 10 years now, and it is the main songwriter and rapper is David Diggs, who played Lafayette and Thomas Jefferson in Hamilton. This was like where this is like his start, and they are referred to as experimental hip hop because they quite literally, like, it is abrasive. It is like hip hop mixed with like noise rock. Like, it's a lot of like loud noises into the beat. They have a song called Shooter where the entire beat is just samples of gunfire and guns being loaded.
That sounds like a goddamn nightmare.
But it's like amazing how they do it. They did a really fun during COVID. This is like one of my favorite things they did. Was during COVID, they did a NPR Tiny Desk performance. It was COVID, so it had to be pre-taped. So the way that they did it was that they built extremely teeny tiny versions of their instruments that were still functioning. So it was like the one guy was playing like a drum machine that was about this big with little toothpicks, like hitting the drum beats and stuff. Like, they're just the definition of like avant-garde experimental. It's like if Devo was a rap group, is like a great way to sum it up. Like, early Devo, that's that weird,
that's a great
noise punk abrasive, but with, if you've seen Hamilton, you know how fast and how unique his rapping style is. So it's like these crazy noise montages with this like very rhythmic, crazy rapping pace over top of it. It's unreal.
With dread-induced storytelling in the raps. It is wild.
Their
to
one
me.
song, they have one song a couple years ago that I think became like a TikTok sound, which is him saying like, Donald Trump is a white supremacist. If you vote for him, you are a white supremacist. like they don't. Right. There's not a lot of subtext sometimes, and he's just like, this is exactly what I have to say. But yeah,
they do not.
You gave me a recommendation on that.
Clipping is fantastic.
It was so good that I got pulled over for speeding. That's how much I enjoyed this album.
Yes, that's the reason why, Matt.
Yeah, it wasn't the speed trap in Gettysburg. Anyway, we'll be back next week with even more Horror Movie Night.
You're listening to the Geekscape Network.